The Armed Forces of Turkmenistan consists of an army, navy, air and air defense forces, border troops, and internal troops, and a National Guard. After the fall of the Soviet Union, significant elements of the Soviet Armed Forces Turkestan military district remained on Turkmen soil, including several motor rifle divisions. In June 1992, the new Russian government signed a bilateral defense treaty with Turkmenistan, encouraging the new Turkmen government to create its own armed forces but stipulating that they were to be placed under joint command. The Library of Congress Country Studies said that the Treaty on Joint Measures signed by Russia and Turkmenistan in July 1992 provided for the Russian Federation to act as guarantor of Turkmenistan's security and made former Soviet Army units in the Republic the basis of the new national armed forces. The treaty stipulated that, apart from border troops and Air Force and air defense units remaining under Russian control, the entire armed forces would be under joint command, which would gradually devolve to exclusive command by Turkmenistan over a period of 10 years. For a transitional period of 5 years, Russia would provide logistical support and pay Turkmenistan for the right to maintain special installations, while Turkmenistan would bear the costs of housing, utilities, and administration. CASD's Moscow defense brief said that, in 1992–1993 Turkmenistan attempted to create a small national armed force based on the former 52nd Army, which was located in the country and depended on support from Russia. Of the 300 formations and units, numbering 110,000 people, 200 were transferred to the command of Turkmenistan, 70 remained under Russia's jurisdiction and 30 were either withdrawn or demobilized. In 1994, the Chief of Staff and First Deputy Minister of Defense was Major General Anar Murat Sultanov, a career officer who had served in Cuba and Afghanistan. Another Deputy Minister of Defense, Major General Bigdzhan Niyazov, had been a law enforcement administrator prior to his appointment. Russian commanders included Major General Viktor Zarvazin, Chief of Staff and First Deputy Commander of the Separate Combined Arms Army of Turkmenistan, and Commander of the Separate Combined Arms Army of Turkmenistan, and Deputy Minister of Defense Lieutenant General Nikolai Kormazyev. Russian Major General Vladislav Shanovich served together with Turkmen Major General Akhmurad Kabulov as joint commanders of the border troops in the Turkmen Border Guard. Jane's Information Group said in 2009 that Turkmenistan's military is, even by the standards of Central Asia, poorly maintained and funded. State Security Council. The State Security Council is the most important defense decision-making body in the country. The 1995 Law on Defense says that the President of Turkmenistan defines the powers of the Security Council. The Security Council is mentioned in the 2003 Constitution of Turkmenistan but not in the 1992 Constitution, and it's only mentioned that the Security Council is guided by the President. The council was chaired by the former President of Turkmenistan Sapar Murat Niyazov until his death, while Minister of Defense Agajildi Mamit Geldayu acts as its secretary. Following the death of Niyazov, the Security Council announced Gurbanguly Berdimuhamedow Muhammadow as his interim successor. Ground forces. The Turkmen military inherited several motor rifle divisions from the Soviet Armed Forces Turkestan military district, forming the basis of the Turkmen ground forces. Among them was the 58th Motor Rifle Division at Kizilavad. Interim Russian commanders in the first half of the 1990s included Major General Viktor Zarvazin, Chief of Staff and First Deputy Commander of the Separate Combined Arms Army of Turkmenistan, and Commander of the Separate Combined Arms Army of Turkmenistan, and Deputy Minister of Defense Lieutenant General Nikolai Kormazyev. Today the ground forces include the 2nd, 3rd, 11th, and 22nd Motor Rifle Divisions. The 11th Motor Rifle Division is the former Soviet 88th Motor Rifle Division. The 11th MSD behalf of Sultan Sunja. It was reported in January 2007 that on the Caspian Sea in the coastal zone to a depth of 350 kilometers, and on the Turkmen-Iranian border is located about 90% of the army. The military ranks have reverted to traditional names and structure and are now Ezga, warrior Onbashi, leader of 10, Uzbashi, leader of 100, Munbashi, leader of 1000, Gosunbashi, army commander. The rank of a marshal has also apparently been reintroduced. The real cash payment to the warrior rank in the army is about $1.50 per month. Only some of the conscripts' time in the military is occupied with military service, the rest being occupied with labor and self-improvement by reciting traditional Turkoman texts, learning songs and playing music. Equipment. The number of vehicles is around 2,000, the number of tanks is around 700 and the number of artillery pieces is around 560. Turkmen ground forces equipment includes 702 T-72 and 10 T-90, ordered in 2009 for approximately $30 million. AIFV, APC include BTR-60, BTR-70, BTR-8829, BMP-1, BMP-2 930, BRM-112, and BRDM-2 170. Artillery self-propelled 2S-1 Gvizdika 40, 2S-3 Akatsi U-16, 2S-9 Nanona 12. Multiple launch rocket systems BM-21 Grad 56, BM-27 Uragan 54, BM-30 Smerch 6 on order. Towed guns D-30 122 mm gun 180, D-1 152 mm gun 17, 2A-65 152 mm gun 72. Mortars M37 M82 mm mortar 31, PM38 120 mm mortar 66. Air defense guns ZSU the 23rd of April 48, 57 mm AZPS 6022. Surface-to-air missiles S-125 Neva Pekra, 2K-12 Cub, 9K-33 OSA-40, 9K-35 STRELA-1013. Light equipment Makarov PM, AK-74, AKM, AK-47, Beretta ARX 160, RPK, PKM, Dragunov SVD, NSV, DSHK, RPG-7, RPG-18, RPG-22, GP-25, SPG-9. Air Force. The IISS in 2012 said the Air Force had 3,000 personnel with 94 combat-capable aircraft. The total number of aircraft is around 120. It said there were 2 fighter, ground attack squadrons with MiG-29, MiG-29UB, Sukhoi Su-17 fighter Bs and 2 Sukhoi Su-25 Frogfoots. It reported 1 transport squadron with Antonov and 26 Kol, Mi-8s and Mi-24s. Training units had Sukhoi Su-7 fighter as an L-39 Albatross. Air defense missile units had SAR-2, SAR-3, and SAR-5 units, 99th Aviation Base with IG-29 and Su-25, 47th Separate Mixed Aviation Squadron with N-26 24ths, I-24 and I-8, 107th Fighter Aviation Regiment with 38 IG-23 and 20 IG-25. 31st Separate Aviation Squadron with IG-21, Su-7 L-39 Jak-28 and N-12, former 366th Independent Helicopter Squadron, 55th Fighter Aviation Regiment with IG-23, former 179th Fighter Aviation Regiment, 56th Storage Base with IG-23, former 217th Fighter Bomber Aviation Regiment, 1st Anti-Aircraft Missile Regiment Turkmen with 2 K-11 Krug, 2nd Radio Technical Brigade. Aircraft. Current Infantry Border Guard. Naval Forces. Turkmen Naval Forces are currently directed by the Border Guard Service and consist of around 700 servicemen and 16 patrol boats. The Congressional Research Service, citing the International Institute for Strategic Studies, reports a number of 6 patrol boats. The International Institute for Strategic Studies reported in 2007 that Turkmenistan intended to form a navy and had a minor base at Turkmenbashi, with 1 USCG Point-class cutter and 5 Kalkan-class patrol vessels. Jane's fighting ships 2001-2002 reported that the Point-class cutter was the Marjan PB-129, which was transferred on the 30th of May 2000. The country acquired 4 missile boats in 2011. In 2012, Turkmenistan announced its first naval exercises in the Caspian Sea programmed for early September, named KHAZAR-2012. These tactical exercises came after a summer of somewhat heightened tensions with Azerbaijan over natural gas fields in a contested part of the sea.